And he's like, whoa, 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 stop! You're dating a pagan? Yeah. He's like, what are you, crazy? He's like, get out! I made a promise that I was gonna tell a personal testimony, because it's it'll make things way more relatable than just dropping facts or whatever. Is that okay with you guys if I do that real quick? Okay, sweet. So this is a bit of a shift, but I'm basically gonna share with you how did I even get involved in understanding or even caring about this stuff. So I am the product of, an upbringing that resulted in me falling into some of these snares. So I had to kind of crawl my way out of it, breaking free, right? The name of the talk. So, God bless my parents. I love them so much, and they did the best they could with what they had, but, they divorced when I was 2, and I was raised by all these different babysitters, and essentially like a glorified orphan, and lots of different truths. You've got this babysitter, this parent's house, public school, CCD. Everybody knows what CCD stands for, right? The Confraternity of Christian Doctrine. It's so dope. All right, anyways, CCD, religion class, right? You go to all these different things and you're like, I don't know what to think. It's really weird. And so by the time I got to college, I was I took the Bible they gave us when I got confirmed, and I threw it in a box as a concession to God. I didn't know what I believed. And then I got thrown into this intro to philosophy class, because my college picks your introductory classes for you. And it just opened my whole world to all these different philosophies. But they were, it was kind of like a modernist packaging, if I'm being honest. So it's all slipshod. It's like little pieces of possible truth, and then you have to put the jigsaw together because they don't have a cohesive system. Philosophy is not enough, right? You need God. So I had to put the jigsaw together in my mind or suffer from spiritual schizophrenia. It's basically like survival. And so at one point I was like, yeah, I guess I'll give the Bible a try. And, opened this thing up, and I was like, oh, I better start on page 1 of Genesis. I kind of flipped through Revelation in high school. I was like a self-proclaimed atheist because I thought a Marilyn Manson quote was cool. It was bad. And I was like, the end of the world is in there, right? I want to know about that. And that's all I had. So I actually started from page 1 of the Bible and got through the whole thing. And that was the beginning of my spiritual experiences, actually. I was touched by God to basically keep going. And then I had a near-death experience. That's its own talk. And then I spent the next almost decade straight trying to comprehend what that was. I saw the white light. It was just all-encompassing. And I was looking into every world religion in existence for the answers. I was looking into Zoroastrianism with ancient Persia, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Hermes, you literally name it, and I've done it. And I was trying, without realizing it at the time, I was essentially the quintessential product of New Age. And the way that I would describe it now is the seductive lie of New Age is this idea that God is at the top of a mountain and there's more than one way up the mountain. Pick your adventure. It's like one of those choose your adventure books. I'm on this page now, let's do this. And that's New Age in a sentence. It's this trying to do some crazy psychotic jigsaw of putting together all these disparate belief systems that are completely incompatible with each other, by the way. You see this in modern forms of liberalism. And by the way, when I use that term, I mean it philosophically, not politically. I'm about as apolitical a person as you can possibly get. And it's super uninteresting to me. But this liberalism that, we need marginalized communities and that we're in the name of diversity, we're all like each other. And meanwhile, you've got, the Skittles group over here, and then you've got Islam over here, and somehow we're in the same team, and then you go to the countries and they're throwing these people off the roofs. What? Like, they're not compatible. It's all a lie. It's not logical. And so I'm sitting here trying to make logical what's illogical, right? And by the grace of God, this is kind of actually like my conversion story, a really mini version of it, but where it all came to a head after seeing, I had homies rocking astrology, like the real astrology, not the garbage in the newspapers. Homies rocking blood magic, pentagrams in the basement, concubines, harems, the most, from satanic to just really corny. Like, okay, you're Wiccan, all right, whatever you say. That's not real witchcraft, but all of it, right? And I honestly believe in retrospect that naivete can be a form of protection, because I genuinely was like, I meant well throughout this crazy journey. And I was seeking to understand. It really was. And I knew, I was like, I didn't get the kind of formation that I wish I got. Just to give you an idea, one of my babysitters by day was letting us play with Ouija boards when we were, middle school aged. And then by night, she was going to a church I won't name right down the road, doing religion class. Like, that's my upbringing. So, I didn't even have a chance to know which way was right. But by God's grace, I ended up having a profound conversion experience. And I want to preface this by saying I have been in extensive spiritual direction for the past 10 years almost, so coming up on the 10-year anniversary in a couple months here. And I have been put through a fine-tooth comb. I feel like it's important to say that I have been put through the ringer, and I, for the first time in 10 years, have been given approval to share what I'm about to share with you publicly. My spiritual director said that it's important for me to share the story because it makes it relatable, and also can give people the opportunity to realize, wow, if God could do that in that person's life, he could do something like that in my life or someone that I know, right? So, long story short, and I also got my wife's approval, by the way. I was so far gone in terms of doing it God's way, because I didn't know better yet, versus just being an authentic truth seeker, that I was dating a pagan. And something really weird happened. I had actually had holy seeds planted amidst all of the chaff here. There was some wheat. And I was actually into I was practicing Buddhist for a while in the Soto Zen school under the Mahayana tradition. And on my way to this transcendental meditation, New Age, it's actually ancient, but there's a lot of New Age versions of it. And a guy in the Greyhound on his way to Rome was like, dude, you don't need that goofy pillow. What are you doing? He's like, all you need in your life is Our Lady of Fatima. He's like, look it up. And I was like, I'm open, okay. So, and that was December. That was, I think, the vigil of December 8th, 2012. And I was about to, in Buddhism, I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's this, December 8th is a huge day in Buddhism. We sat for 5 hours straight meditating. And that's a thing that they do around the world. I think it's fascinating that it happens to be on the feast day of Immaculate Conception. Interesting. The God and the devil are always doing things on certain holidays, times. There's meaning behind so many. It's just amazing. And over the next years of being exposed to Marian apparitions, I studied the patterns there, and I realized, oh my goodness, everything, the church-approved ones, I don't even waste time on the non-church approved ones, or the ones that are in flux because it's not safe. But for the church approved ones, those are fascinating enough. And so I had gotten enough into those that I was growing this, I guess you call it curiosity before it became a devotion, which classically is a vice, by the way, curiositas. Getting into information that's not due to your state in life. Not the case here, just interested. And I learned all about Our Lady of Guadalupe and all of the incredible miracles that are associated with that. You know, the image, Juan Diego, December 12, 1531, you know, going to the bishop. I was really touched by that. It's like, wow, there's something to that virtue of obedience. Like, go to the bishop, even if you don't have to, like, make sure you're good. And so I was learning all these things, and the holy seeds were being planted amidst the chaff. And then I'm dating this pagan, right? So, summer of 2014, June about, I'm chilling at work, I'm in the break room, and I've got this, you know, separated brother in Christ, a Methodist Christian. We were homies, we were crunk about Jesus, and he was like, hey, how's it going, man? How you doing? You know, I'm in the break room. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm doing good. And he's like, how are you really doing? And I was like, well, I mean, you know, I'm like dating this chick, and I think I really love her, but she's like a pagan, and I've been really feeling God pull me in the other direction. And he's like, whoa, stop! You're dating a pagan? Yeah. He's like, what are you, crazy? He's like, get out right now. You can't do that, man. I was like, what? And he's like, dude, you're not evenly yoked. What, are you kidding me? He's like, and the things that she's involved in, he's like, you clearly, like, that you wouldn't even understand that that's a problem is a problem, right? And he, like, convicted my heart on the spot, and I was just like, dang it, my pride. And meanwhile, did anybody know about the Superfleet? Remember the Superfleet? It was around for like decades. Yeah. That thing was super dope, right? June, I think 2014, or somewhere early 2014 to June, they shut down. Actually, I think it was April or something. And I went on the closing weekend, you know, looking for the deals, looking for the nostalgia. And I found this Guadalupe comforter, and I was like, that's mine. And, you know, I'm like this, like, sentimental dude to a fault sometimes. Like, I'll just, like, get something, but I won't touch it for the longest time, because it's got to be the right moment. And so this was my moment. Months later, dude's convicting my heart, and I go home, and I literally needed a blankie. So I unzipped that thing for the first time, and draped myself in it, and conked out. And has anybody seen the Boondock Saints? I don't recommend it. It's pretty, like, just filthy. But it was a popular culture thing for my generation growing up. And there's this scene where the Boondock Saint brothers, like, get thrusted out of their sleep and have this, like, enlightenment experience. I literally had that moment. I'm sleeping in bed, my new comforter, Our Lady literally wrapping me in her mantle, and then all of a sudden I get jolted awake. And again, remember, my spiritual director said this is all legit, so don't throw me in the loony bin. I'm seeing an ugly, disgusting gray demon in its true, raw, ugly, real, non-angel of light trying to deceive you form, like in its true, ugly, disgusting form. And it was one of the most terrifying things I have ever seen in my entire life. And it was whispering incantations to my girlfriend. And I was like, listen, I'm a real good former atheist, you know, my little high school years. And I know the scientific method better than anyone. And I know how to rule out the natural and not blame it on the preternatural, the supernatural, or whatever. And I was like, I must be in the hypnagogic state right now, right? That's the state between sleep and awake. I must be this, I must be that. I'm literally crazy. Like, what was that? But she's already nuts too. I mean, she's into tarot cards and everything. So I was literally like, dude, this just happened. And she's like, oh man, that's unfortunate. And genuinely, like, we got into a thing where we were like, I was like, listen, dude, like, I think I love you. I didn't know what love was back then. But I was like, I care about you. I want nothing better than for this thing to work out. You know, by the way, cohabiting is satanic. Don't ever do it. And like, you know, but I feel God calling me in a different direction, and I just have to come clean. Like, I just don't think we're evenly yoked. and blah, blah, blah. And thanks be to God, I tried to convert her. Missionary dating, by the way, is a horrible strategy. Anyone who's tried it will tell you it just like almost never works. Like, it's brutal. And I was like doing that, but the problem is that I wasn't even put together enough myself to even survive. And instead, God humbled me, and he's like, dude, uneven yoke, unholy ties, soul ties, get rid of it. And that's how it panned out. We, very amicably parted ways very soon after that, but not before this happened, and this is the crux of the story and how it relates to this topic. I'm a dude, right? I'm a male. I've got a male brain. If I see a nail, I need a hammer. Like, I gotta fix the situation. So here I am, like, I'm either going nuts or what the hell was that? Literally, what was that just now? And I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't have the answers I have today. And basically, I was like, I think you're supposed to pray when this happens. And I didn't know prayers back then, not like I know them now. But I knew the Our Father. So I started praying the Our Father. She's sleeping. I think this was like the next night. This was right after this happened. And now she starts convulsing in her sleep. I got a couple lines into the Our Father. I was kind of doing like this. And I was like, dude, if she wakes up, she's going to be like, you're such a weirdo. You're praying over me now. Like, hey, it's just so sketch. But like, it's not how it works, And that was the point. Like, I tried to do what I thought was right at the moment. And all of a sudden, after years of seeing this human being, that's never happened before, by the way, ever. That's not normal. That was way beyond the baseline. And it was just like in my head. It wasn't like she was subconsciously hearing what I was saying. And she's convulsing in her sleep. And of course, I told her about all of this. It wasn't like I kept it to myself. It's like so weird to even relive this. But like, then, because I'm a good former atheist, I did it again. The next night, same exact thing happened again. So now I've got 2 sets of data to work with, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't result in Kyle's crazy. That results in there's something like to this. And I don't remember if it was immediately after the first one or the second one, but I would guess the second one. I got what I later learned through competent spiritual direction. I received an infused grace into my intellect directly. This triple understanding, instantaneous. It came from without me, and it just like showed up in my intellect and was forever ingrained into me. And it was, number one, Ephesians 6 is extremely real, and the whole Bible. Everything about spiritual warfare, everything about putting on the armor of God, the fact that there is this war between good and evil, and it's invisible and it's beyond what we see in front of us. All of it's real. And you were just blessed, unworthy as you are, with the opportunity to literally, like Our Lady came in and was like, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you under the veil just enough to scare the literal living hell out of you and to shape you up for your mission in the future. That was number one. Number two was whatever I'm trying to do right now, I don't understand it. I don't understand the mechanics of it. It's probably not how this is supposed to work. Back off. Like, reassess later, right? And thanks be to God, I obviously know very well now, you need to understand, like, with precision, like theological engineering precision, the lines of authority, power, and how all of this stuff works if you're going to be an effective soldier in the spiritual realm. And at the time, I didn't have the training. So, but I could feel the evil pushing back on me when I was trying to pray. Like, there was resistance. They were not happy. And But then third, and this was absolutely the most important out of them all by far, it was, as much as you're trying to do a good thing right now, like, this human being needs to have a conscious walk with her Creator, with her free will, to come to know the Lord. You can't just, like, will the evil out of people. Like, that's not quite necessarily how it works. I mean, it's a both and thing, right? There's got to be some, like, cooperation on the part of the energumen. Not saying that that's what she was. I'm not making a diagnostic on that right now. But the fact of the matter is that then we amicably split. Actually, that was 10 years ago yesterday. And that was the day that I prayed. I didn't know any, like, official Catholic prayers like I know now, but I prayed my own version of a surrender prayer. And that was the day that I gave my life up for the Lord. And he supplied me with this grace. There was this really profound thing that happened that day. And I was on the straight and narrow from then on. Found my wife. I thought I was going to be a priest, but I found my wife. And we did it, the church's way. And to the very, very best of our understanding, we followed what you're supposed to do. And so that's a little backstory of Kyle Dean the man, and Kyle Dean the sinner, Kyle Dean the redeemed. And that was the context in which I was called to grow in my faith and in mission. So not 2 years later, I ended up meeting our local exorcist who was giving a conference, not unlike this one. And not only did everything he said I already knew, but I was like helping him to refine it during the break. And I was just like, I just like already know all this stuff because of all of my years doing truth seeking. And they actually signed me up for the team. And I have been a authorized leader in spiritual warfare for almost a decade now. And I've taken on dozens of cases. I've helped multiple exorcists and grew through the ranks, starting as a diagnostic, intake specialist, and advancing from there, sometimes giving conferences for the diocese, et cetera, et cetera. And it's only by God's grace that I was able to really take this stuff seriously. And I had to walk the walk of recognizing that you don't get to climb however you want up the mountain. You just don't. Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. There is no way to the Father except through me. That's the narrow gate. It's not this hell doesn't exist, or if it does, no one goes there, or the oldest lies. You will become like gods. You're going to be like God. But you're not going to do it through submitting to his grace and understanding how that works, right? Sanctifying grace, putting on the habitus, actual graces, responding, like playing DDR. Anybody remember that thing? Actual graces are like, he gave it to you and you took, the opportunity promptly. You were obedient to God on his terms. You literally said, nope, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to binge watch on insert favorite. I don't even like to say Netflix anymore because they become so overtly satanic. But whatever. I'm going to instead pray The Little Office. Shameless plug. Any plug for the Blessed Mother is speaks for itself. But so, and then of course gratuitous graces, right? Those are the charisms. Those are the graces. They're called gratia gratis date, which means a grace freely given. And there's a humility component built into those. That's what I discovered over time, what I have. I have specific charismata that have been confirmed independently, objectively verified by the church. That's how that works. And it's usually a very slow grinding process. This isn't like there's no instant, process in these things. But when you're given a gratuitous graces aren't for you. They're for the other. That's where the humility, like, authentically works in there. And it's also how you discern its authenticity.